Welcome to Insights of All Trades podcast with Nick and Cole. This is where we talk with people we meet along our journeys through medicine, military service, sports, education, and beyond. We hope you enjoy. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Riggin It Gear. I feel like we don't have to do an intro today because normally I just ramble on about how you should buy Riggin It Gear products. Did I say Riggin It Gear?
You said thanks for tuning in to Riggin It Gear.
Holy freak, run it back.
Oh, come on.
All right, I'm sorry, everyone. We're going to talk about why I'm
Riggin It Gear is taking over the pod.
Riggin It Gear
We've acquired Insights of All Trades.
Dang. In the spirit of Riggin It Gear, I'm wrecked right now in that... We did a crazy challenge with Jacob Younger, our guest today.
What up?
Who's an engineer turned entrepreneur, and we got to talk about your story a little bit. But in the spirit of Riggin It Gear, which is you can speak to your own MO better than we can. But Nick and I were late wrestling on like a dirty mat, and also I'm just like mildly concussed from running into a tree this weekend, which we'll probably explain later. But
you stink, dude.
We smell really bad.
I feel at home. No, I feel at home. I'm usually the one that smells bad.
So thank you for coming on, man. What's going on in the life of Jacob Younger right now?
Man, we've been busy. Getting ready for the Kickstarter for my company. Last time when I did the podcast, I left and I was like, all right, I gotta get back on the show when I'm a successful business owner. So we'll still have to do that. I'm not a successful business owner yet, but I am a business owner. And we're getting closer to the success. But yeah, I've been designing like this fanny pack system, and we're bringing that to market in like a week and a half now. So pretty exciting. I've been busy tying up loose ends and getting stuff squared away, but yeah, it's been fun. Still got time for endurance challenges.
What's the Kickstarter going on?
So it's starting May 14th, Friday, May 14th, and then we're going to run it for 4 weeks. And we're basically just trying to... The way Kickstarter works is people back a project or a small company or whatever, and they say they'll buy a product that you have, like an idea you have. A lot of it's like board games and books and different art stuff, but they do have some like outdoors products or other gadgets and stuff. And basically... the consumer will commit to paying whatever, and if you get enough commitments and you hit your goal, which you set beforehand, once your Kickstarter's over, Kickstarter then sends you the money you raise. They take like a cut of it, like a % or two, for being the kind of the market or whatever. Yeah, that's the word. So, and then it's your money to do with it however you please. Ideally, you fulfill your orders. And we do have a factory lined up. We're going to still explore some more options with that, but we do have one lined up that we know can make our product. So we'll get all the money and then use that money to get the product out to people, what they bought. And then depending on how much is left over, we can invest that in, however we see fit into the business. So more product testing. We'll probably use any extra money and use it to prepare for the next Kickstarter, which will be the whole backpack system that I've been working on. It's similar to the fanny pack. It's using the same kind of design elements. That's like my real baby. That's one I really am passionate about. So I'm hoping this goes well so we can do a good job getting ready for that one.
So this one's the fanny pack Kickstarter, and you said you set a goal beforehand?
Yeah.
So what goal did you set for it?
We're at 20,000. So if we hit that, we'll have enough money to get with a healthy margin, we'll be able to get a run of 500 of the fanny packs. So 20,000 doesn't quite work out. It would be a little less, but we'd be able to fulfill all the orders and then be able to buy have extra inventory to sell. So that's kind of our goal right now. And I don't know. I think maybe we can beat that goal by a lot, but we'll see. We have to stick with it. We're doing like we're going down to Trail Days, Appalachian Trail Days. It's on my t-shirt. It's in Virginia, Damascus, Virginia, all the way at the bottom. It's like an Appalachian Trail hiker festival that they have every year that a lot of people attend. So we're getting a crew together to go down there and kind of spread the word about the Kickstarter. I think it's a great marketing opportunity. So if that goes well, I'm hoping if you do well right at the beginning of your Kickstarter, you could get bumped up in the algorithm on Kickstarter's website, and like, so if you get funded pretty rapidly, they'll put you on like the projects they love page, and then those projects get a lot of site traffic and stuff that you don't bring in. That's like kind of people that are just like the Kickstarter thing. So that's like what I'm really hoping with that first weekend we can get onto that page. So yeah.
So for the listener that hasn't heard me evangelize for Riggin It Gear for like every intro that we've ever done since Younger has been on here, what is different about the Riggin It Gear products, whether it's the architecture or the material that makes them? I guess what are the compelling reasons that would make someone that's into outdoor adventuring, etc., what are the compelling reasons for them to buy a Riggin It product?
Okay, so Riggin It is all about like modularity and being able to do different outdoor activities or even indoor activities, but like all the activities that you need to carry stuff for. I tried to design a pack that can handle all that. So it started with a backpack. It actually started when I first I moved out to Colorado after my last episode I was on, and we started the Riggin It Gear with my buddy David from college. And
we should tell people that Younger's an actual engineer and not like some knuckle.
Yeah, I do have a bachelor's of science in civil engineering, and I did work as an engineer for at least a year. It was terrible, so no, it was good, but I like this more. But yeah, so I'm using using my engineering background and my experience in manufacturing and just like product design from my schooling and work. I was like, how can I use this to make a product that's unique and like compelling, I think, and like scalable? Because when we first started, we just made a run of fanny packs, like 100. I just sewed them in the basement and we sold those on our website. But I was kind of trying to think like, what's a product that can differentiate me? There's a lot of backpacks that are similar to the one I sewed for myself for the Appalachian Trail, and I made one for Cole like that too. It's like the classic style. It's like 2 water bottle pockets, a big back pocket for your rain gear, big comfy straps, and then like a frameless and like a minimalist waist belt. But like I could list like 10 companies that make that exact product, and I think they're cool. Like maybe if it didn't matter, if trying to become a bigger company and like, my goals of making this a bigger thing, I might just stick with that design because I do love those packs. But I wanted something that I knew that would be different and, have a wider reach. So, like the first step of that, like I was just playing around with different shoulder strap styles, and I came up with a little idea that I could easily switch shoulder straps between, like, have one base pack and I could switch shoulder straps out to test them and see what shape I like the best. And that system I was using to switch out the shoulder straps kind of led me to think, what if every part of the backpack you could switch and exchange? Because typically you sew attachments into the main seams of the pack. So there's a seam near your shoulders and your back that you sew the straps onto, and then there's seams on the outside that you sew your pockets into. And I was thinking, what can I replace that seam with that you could easily attach stuff to and take off, and it would still be functional? So after like 20 or so prototypes, I came up with the Riggin It rail, and it's basically like a 1/2-inch webbing sewn together, like bar tacked at like 2-inch intervals along the seam. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically there's like a port every other inch that you can like you can hook onto.
Is it almost like Molly? Like
yeah,
Molly?
It's definitely Molly adjacent. I think like I borrowed a lot from like military backpacks, because they gotta do the same thing where you have a base pack and it's gotta be durable, reliable, and then you gotta be able to equip it for your mission. So like they have like day packs, 3-day packs, different attachments for, I don't know, whatever equipment you would need, and you can kind of all piece it together. So I wanted to take something like that, but make it more, I guess, ultralight or like consumer friendly, because the stuff in the military is like, I mean, has to work, so it's very
so heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy, over designed, because you need. I mean, when it's time to go, it's time to go. You can't have anything breaking on you. I think.
Well, they break all the time. I will say that.
Well, see, once Riggin It gets the contract, we'll fix those issues.
Is there a strict cutoff for like an ultralight base weight for like a backpacker? In my head, it's like a sub 10 pound base weight.
It's generally 10 pounds is ultralight, 6 is super ultralight, and 15 is regular lightweight. That's too much for me. But no, I was teasing my dad because he went out, he tried the Black Forest Trail like a couple weeks ago, and he was all stressed out because he had a 14 pound base weight. So. But yeah, 10 is what you got to get to call yourself an ultralighter.
Like father, like son.
So yeah, it's funny. He every time we have a trip, we'll be like texting each other about like what gear we're gonna bring or leave behind, or like, what do you think about this? So it's kind of fun. I'm a big gear nerd, obviously.
It seems like the most common issue when people get into backpacking is that it doesn't have to be even long distance backpacking. It can be like a single overnight trip. It seems that the most common mistake made is that you think you need to bring all of these things and you pack extremely heavy, and then as you go on, you're like, oh, I can go from this 30 pound like luggage I'm carrying on my back to like 10. There's a lot of stuff you don't need. There's a lot of materials that could be substituted in for heavier materials.
Yeah, I think like with the ultralight thing, there's like almost a misconception that you have to spend like a ton of money to lighten up your pack weight, and like you can make the most gains by just leaving behind stuff you don't need. So like clothes you're not gonna wear, like pay attention when you go backpacking or hiking or whatever, or traveling, and like pay attention to what you actually wear, because like I know like in Peru, me and my buddies went to Peru in college, and like they brought all these clothes and they wore one set of clothes the whole time while they were hiking. They didn't even change. So like you just didn't need it, and like clothes can add up pretty fast if you don't keep an eye on them. So like that's like the number one thing is you need a hiking set and a sleeping set, and you don't really need anything else. And before you spend $300, $500, $600 on a tent, you can just leave some stuff at home to lighten up your load. Because I think if you're under like 15 pounds, which I think is pretty reasonable to get to, like it's a much more enjoyable experience in my opinion. And like, I don't know, some people like to bring more stuff to camp, and that's where they get the enjoyment from the trip. But I mean, I don't know, I'm out there to hike, so I'd rather be more comfortable at hike and then maybe pass on a couple luxury items while I'm in camp. But
now, what about like food and water? Does that also count towards your weight, or no?
Yeah, so like with the base weight is strictly non-consumable. So that's your tent, your clothes, your sleeping bag, and then you have your consumable weight. And like when you're backpacking on the East Coast, like a lot of what I do, you don't have, a lot of people will carry too much water. Usually there's water every 2-3 miles on a trail, so like you don't really need more than a liter. And then I definitely overpack food. That's probably my biggest weakness in my hiking is I love to eat. But the thing about food is like if you have it, you can eat it, and then your weight goes down. So if you're gonna overpack in any of the areas, I think food is the one to go. So like I don't know, when I go out, like my base weight's around like 8 pounds when I'm like really going light, and then I try to do 2 pounds of food a day if I'm just getting started, or if I'm gonna be pushing more miles, maybe closer to 2.5-3 pounds of food a day. So I don't know. I like to be like under 20 pounds usually when I start. But
so if we go back to this Kickstarter thing, what exactly like? So I'm not really super familiar with Kickstarters in general. Like, so is it you have to have like customers lined up beforehand and like say here's people that we're going to sell to and like stuff like that, or is it just like we need this X amount of money to do what we want to do?
Yeah, you basically just put up your product description, your videos, and then you have your options, and then you can bring customers to like direct them from your Instagram and stuff, but it's just like a website, anyone can view it. You can find it if you're just browsing Kickstarter. We'll link it from our Instagram, and then.
So is it like an application you have to get approved by them, or?
Yeah, you do have to get your idea approved. It needs to be like a unique thing, and there's like a bit of a requirement to prove that you're like a smaller company, like a startup. I don't know, there are some bigger companies that will do their product releases through Kickstarter, so I don't know, maybe they have like a little bit of a different agreement with Kickstarter. But for us, like, we had to present pictures, like a description of our product and some prototype pictures and stuff, just so they knew we had like something. And then it gets approved, and we picked our date, which is May 14th. And now we're just trying to get all our stuff squared away so we can populate that page with, you know, cool pictures. We got like 2 videos we're gonna put up, like one like quick hitting like ad, like show all what the fanny pack can do, and then I'll have like a creator's video where I'll talk, like, it'll be more like a 3-minute video where I'll talk about the product and the company and what our goals are and stuff.
So what's the advantage of going with a Kickstarter versus just like a regular like bank loan or something like that?
Well, if you do the Kickstarter, you do have to give your small percentage to Kickstarter when you get the money, but then the money's yours. You don't owe it to anyone. You're not even legally required to fulfill the orders. So it's like it's a lower risk thing, I think. And it also, like, for us, when we were talking about maybe trying to get loans, but I feel like it's a good way to build our audience too, because we've kind of been building up some hype for it, and I think I don't know, I think it'll go better if we have that versus just trying to launch a product on our own and then, you know, taking that loan out and you owe all that money. So like if we get the money on Kickstarter and like everything is terrible and doesn't work out and we can't get the products out, like, it's not, I mean, and we can't really do another Kickstarter, or our reputation might be take a hit, but I won't be in any legal or financial trouble if I can't get the money back. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
Okay, cool. So you're starting with the fanny packs, and you said like in the future you're planning to do it with the actual backpacks, also through Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think like the backpack is more, let's say with the fanny packs we have, like, it is modular. You can set it up as like a regular fanny pack. We have a running belt with like that's padded and has a water bottle sleeve. We have a chest mount, fishing accessories, and then like a dog walking setup. All those will be different. So you can buy the initial one will be the kit, just the fanny pack with like the regular waist straps. And then the rest will be like a la carte add-on options, and we'll probably do some kind of bundle deal if you get multiple of them. But then with the backpack, I have one setup really dialed in. That's like the kind of the ultralight backpacking setup, or like fast packing setup that I've been using. I put a couple 100 miles on it so far, and I'm really liking it. And then now I'm trying to develop like a frame system for it, so we can like add a frame to it. I think there's potential with like like skiing attachments, or like we've been talking to some people about doing like hunting attachments. I think there's a lot you could get into with that. I think a lot of hunting companies are kind of similar setups where you have like a frame pack and then a base pack, and then you can like use the webbing to like stretch it out to like put like haul loads, like if you kill something, like haul the quarter out, or you can attach guns and stuff to the side. So we're kind of doing something similar to what's been done in that area, I guess. But yeah, and I think like you could take the backpack. The goal is like be able to take the backpack from hiking to traveling to, you can take it to work, to the gym, like truly one pack to do it all. Because there are some out there, but I just don't think they do it. They don't really do a good job. I think this one could actually do a decent job in each of the areas. It won't be as good, like, I mean, if you just want an ultralight backpack and for thru-hiking the PCT, yeah, you might want to go with a company that is actually like making strictly ultralight backpacks. But if you're kind of a jack of all trades and you have a job and you're doing different stuff and you kind of want to bounce around between activities, which is kind of what I do, and I'm not like, I mean, I hike a lot, but I also try to do other activities. So the idea is that this pack will be able to handle that, and do each of the tasks well. So yeah, that's kind of the idea.
It sounds like it's Legos of sort, where you can kind of, you're taking pieces on and off to whatever suits you for the day to day.
Yeah, I think Legos is a perfect way to describe it. Like that's how I want it to be, or like an erector set or something where you can. The parts will work, like the rail and all the spacing is such that you can, put pockets different configurations. You can, take one, like if you have 2 different packs. Like the one example, I was camping with my buddy, my other friend Cole. Another
gonna have to fight
another wrestler. That'd be a good match.
Did you see that Josh fight thing?
Yeah, we could have a Cole fight.
Just kidding, Cole. We don't have beef.
Get Cole Karam in the mix too. Get all the wrestlers.
Oh dang! I don't know if there's a good Cole Walter. I think I'm a slightly above average Cole Walter, but I have an S on my name. I'm already like diminishing myself in the name of the other Cole Walter, but he was like a state champ in PA and wrestled at Lehigh. So I got like a bunch of D1 coaches like recruiting me that when I was in high school that thought I was him. They're like, hey, you want to like come for a visit? We'll pay for such and such your flight here. I'm like, you definitely don't have the right guy. But anyway,
did you see that Josh fight thing?
Yeah.
Did it actually happen?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
that's amazing. I love the internet.
Yeah, some kid won. Like I think he was like 7. Won the Josh fight. They all fought with like pool noodles and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. Did they ever storm Area 51? Speaking of internet news,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Let's bring it back.
Maybe we should bring that back.
This is the
Riggin It takes Area 51.
I don't know. The CIA said something about aliens existing now, so
maybe
we should go.
The aliens are real. They're out there. No,
did you see any on the AT?
Couple. They just were driving by. They didn't want to talk, so they actually smelled me and retreated back to the Evans. So
have you seen Bigfoot yet?
No, I'm hunting for him. I have a Bigfoot patch on my one jacket so that if he sees me, he'll know I'm like a fan and a friend.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't really hiked in I think the Pacific Northwest is where you want to find Bigfoot. Though I have heard of some sightings in Oklahoma recently, so he might be moving around. We'll see about that.
I saw Jocko Willink put up an ad for, I want to say it was for his energy drink, Go. I'm not one. Oh yeah,
I had that this morning.
Yeah, so it wasn't the best tasting energy drink of all time.
It tastes
great.
Did you get energized?
Yeah, it felt like a clean. That was the first time I felt like alive since our 4x48 challenge.
It's like Jocko's sweat.
Yeah,
but like I don't know, whatever like sweeteners are in that, like my urine smelled exactly like the drink. So like all that, whatever's in it, like is just passing right through me. I guess I don't know.
Jocko had an advertisement for it where it was like taking down Bigfoot, like it. If I remember correctly, it's been a while. He like slams the energy drink and like goes and double legs Bigfoot or like some Sasquatch thing. I don't know. Same. But it wasn't a very technically correct double leg. I was pretty upset about it. It's probably because Jocko's a jiu-jitsu guy. Yeah. It's like, what's this nonsense? His butt was out, torso wasn't over the hips, head wasn't up. It's like, I don't know, Jocko.
Snap him right to the mat. I like as tough as Jocko is. I think I could beat him in a wrestling match.
Did you hear that, Jocko?
Yeah, we know you're listening. Speaking of your stench that scared the aliens away, rumor has it that there were some other thru-hikers that said you were the worst smelling thru-hiker they ever smelled.
I had like 3 people say I was the worst. Like they were like, you smell the worst. This is the worst smell I've smelled on the trail. And then this other guy was like, my guy Badger, it was like, you are the dirtiest person I've ever been. I was like, all right, well, I thought that's what we were out here for. Like, that's the point. Like, live in the woods, be dirty. I thrive. Like, some people are good at walking fast and can like crush the uphills. You know, they can put in the miles, but like my main feature as a hiker is I just did not care about like being dirty, living in like I was just killing it, dude. I don't know. I smelled so bad. I went 10 days without a shower the one time, and like I didn't even like, I don't know, I didn't like need the shower. I just was at a place where I could shower, so I did. But like,
sounds like you needed the shower.
I did. I've yet to like. I mean, I'm sure there's like medical benefits to being clean. But I'll figure that out. I'll learn that lesson the hard way probably.
How'd your feet smell after the frostbite?
Bad. I had like there's all this like dead skin on my feet that like this bacteria was eating. So like, yeah, this one guy was like, yes. Well, we were in the hostel. He's like, yeah, some wrestlers from high school used to pee on their feet to make the smell go away, so maybe you could try that. I'm just gonna let it smell. I'm fine. He was like he had just started a flip-flop hike. So he started in Harper's Ferry and he was gonna go south, and like so I was already like halfway into my journey when I met him, and I was I was like a hardened veteran, so I was like, I'm not gonna worry about how I smell, dude. You just gotta get out here. You gotta live it.
Was that before the plantar fasciitis?
No, yeah, that was after. So that was like after I'd gotten back on trail. It was actually the day after I did the 4-state challenge. So my feet probably did smell pretty bad, because I walked for 24 straight hours basically. Well, not straight, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely enjoy that aspect of being outside, is just like not worrying about how clean I am and how I smell, and like letting go all those societal norms. I enjoy that. I'm just a dirty guy. I came back the other day after work, and my parents are like redoing the front of the house. They're putting in like a garden, so there's like a giant pile of dirt that my mom was like moving around, and my 2 little nephews were over, and they were like running and jumping and doing penguin slides in the dirt, and I was so proud of them. It was awesome. It was cool, but yeah.
See, I felt like, I don't know if guilty is the right word, maybe just ashamed of myself, because we did the 4x4x48 this weekend, so we ran 4.
So explain what that is first, because I think not too many people know.
Yeah, it's that.
Follow the Instagram.
Yeah, what are you doing? So David Goggins, the Navy SEAL turned ultramarathon runner, many other hats that he wears, but those are a big two, and he created this challenge where you run 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So we camped out at a Younger's property, and we ran in circles all over the place. One of the segments that we did included the steepest mile on the Appalachian Trail, per the internet. Per Younger's experience, he said there might be some steeper ones hiding out there.
I think so, but I don't know. It was pretty steep.
It was pretty steep. At some point, you aren't hiking anymore. You're like kind of rock climbing, like small segments of it, because you like, you know, it's a little sketch. But anyway, you aren't showering that whole time. And I didn't have I was car camping, so I have like a fold out mattress in the back of my Forester. It's probably the best thing I own. It's like an $80 to $90 mattress from Walmart, and you can just luxury car camp. It's so nice. If I get a studio apartment, I'll probably just throw that in the apartment. It's comfy. Yeah. Anyway, didn't have a sheet on my mattress. I was just laying on it sweaty after each run. Now my car smells so bad.
Oh yeah, when you're rigging it, you gotta get used to your car smelling bad. That's just the way of life. Mine's gonna reek for at least a couple weeks, and then when we go to trail days, forget about it. It's gonna be nasty. Actually, I do think they have showers at trail days. I won't be taking
what is trail days exactly? It's like a festival thing for...
Yeah, it's just
hikers?
like a big hiker festival. Just kind of celebrate the Appalachian Trail. There's music, different gear reps come. They got different hiking related competitions. The one, I forget which company's putting it on, but it's a speed stuff of a sleeping bag into the stuff sack. So whoever stuffs the sleeping bag in fastest wins the sleeping bag. So I'm definitely entering that. Even though I don't use stuff sacks because I'm ultralight. But yeah, I don't know. There's there's a hiker parade where I'm excited for this. But basically if you thru-hiked in the past or you thru-hiking this year, you line up by year. I think they start with the oldest first and then go back to the youngest, or it might be vice versa. But you walk down the main street of Damascus, Virginia, and everybody shoots you with water guns, and so that seems fun.
Will you be hiking in the parade?
Oh yeah, I'm getting the parade. Why do you think I did the trail? Gotta get in that parade.
Just for the glory.
Gotta get my glory. Y'all better be cheering for me. But yeah, there's a big old bonfire every night that I think there's a drum circle people dance around. So I think things get kind of weird at night. So
it's like Burning Man.
Yeah, I've actually heard that it is comparable to Burning Man at night. They got a family campsite and then a Burning Man type campsite. So I think I'll make a lot of sales during the night. That's where I'll shine.
We need to come up with a good challenge for the Riggin It Gear stand or whatever. Maybe Billy and I can challenge people to if you can beat us in a 3-mile challenge, we'll give you a
3 miles all day. We got I might have some extra hats we could give out. Maybe a fanny pack.
You could just do an extra. You get a Bud Light with a fanny pack.
We are. My friend Dan Clemente, he couldn't make it to the thing, but he because I don't know, I think it's his sister's bridal shower. He's got to help out with coordinating that. But he, instead of being there, has started the Dan Clemente hams for Riggin It fund. So he bought 4 cases of hams. Hershey threw in 2. So if you want to buy some cheap beer, because I'm going to try the oldest sales strategy in the book, get the customer to liquor it up and then make the sale. So we're going to be giving out some free beers and stuff. I got to make sure that's like, I don't want to get any trouble handing out beers to like minors or something. So I got to maybe think about that one, but seems like a good idea.
Yeah, do you need a liquor license to do that?
It's Southern Virginia. I don't know what the rules are down there. I did see like, what gave me the idea is I saw a picture on a YouTube of this guy he was just wearing overalls with like one of the straps down, and he had a wheelbarrow full of ice and natty lights that he was like going around giving people. So that kind of gave me the idea. But yeah, a lot of cheap beer consumed that weekend. If YouTube is correct.
I don't know if it will parallel to the amount of cheap beer consumed when we were on the old loggers path.
Yeah, drink.
There was a beer mile challenge that Younger had been defeated by
on
the old loggers path.
For how many miles?
27.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was not.
How far did you make it? Like 10?
I mean, I think I drank most of the beers.
It's because he was refusing to put water in his body. We couldn't talk him into it.
Yeah, well, once I get drinking, I get set in my ways. I think the official cutoff was when I just cartwheeled down like 100-foot cliff. Basically.
It was absurd. You would get up and I was like, dude, please let me come down to you. And he was like, no, charge forward, tumble. It's like, holy cow, this guy's gonna get hurt. He'd stop and I'd be like, oh, he's okay. Younger, please wait for us. Get up and run again. Trip, fall. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, nothing's holding me back. I'm gonna make it down this hill. I'd roll through and I'd look up as I'm rolling and look for trees, rocks, figure out where my next roll would be. If you ever watch the movie Hot Rod, the scene where he's in the training montage and then he falls down the mountain for ever. That's kind of what I felt like. If you've seen that.
Where do you guys find these challenges?
We kind of made that one up, I think.
Okay.
I think that me and Hershey were like, yo, let's hike the old loggers path in a day. And then even though 27-mile trail in a day is not going to be easy, we were like, well, let's add an element to it. Let's drink a beer per mile.
I think that was when the one brewery was outfitting someone to hike the AT. So the
Devil's Backbone. If you made a good video, they would give you $10,000 and free beer to hike the AT.
Did you guys submit something?
We were trying to, but we didn't even complete the challenge.
That was the thought.
Good filming. So for some reason, drinking 27 beers does not make you good at filming.
I thought the cutoff point that day was when you drank a little bit of Pedialyte and then you poured your beer into the Pedialyte.
Yeah, I was figuring I'll get the job done all in one.
That's Riggin It.
I was hurt. After that, I was like, I'm never drinking again. I did good for a little bit, but that one hurt. And now that I'm I could do it again, I'm definitely not doing it again. It was terrible, but I might do it again. There's a challenge when we do the PCT. There's a 24-mile, 24-beer, 24-hour challenge that I'll probably have to do.
24-mile, 24-beer.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is that
24 hours?
Yeah.
Is it a flat area?
I think it's pretty flat, and you go from one. It's one hostel that's on the trail to the other. So you don't have to carry an extra food or anything. You can just show up and sleep.
Is that one of the desert segments?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it'll be at the end. So.
Yeah, that's maybe the biggest thing that I have in my back pocket right now is that I'm trying to force myself just in my brain to commit to a 2024 PCT thru hike. I think that'd be pretty crazy.
Dang.
Yeah, we gotta do it. Sobo.
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 A little southbound action from from the Pacific Northwest down into New Mexico. It's just like it starts at like the Canadian border, right, of like Canada, Washington.
What's this Everest challenge thing you were telling me about?
So I was looking at Courtney DeWalter's Instagram. If you don't know who she is, she's one of the best ultra marathon runners in the world. Like, she ran the Moab 240, which is a 238-mile race through the Moab Desert, and she was first place across all men and women, and the second place was a dude, and he finished 10 hours behind her. The second place finisher. She's crazy. An animal. She put up a picture recently on Instagram that was like, did an Everest challenge where I like ran the elevation change of Everest in a day. Now, she was running up and down, which turned into like a 60-mile day for her, which is crazy town. And I was like, hey, we could turn this into a Riggin It challenge where we find like a ski resort, find a place that has, say, 1,000-ish feet elevation change from base to summit, and you hike up and ride the ski lift down. Now, you have to be resourceful, which I'm trying to be, and we have a little something in the works, but I won't unveil too much because it's not totally locked in yet. But we're gonna make it happen. To get somewhere to turn a ski lift on, either for. At first, I thought we should do it as long as 24 hours, but now I'm feeling increasingly confident that we can do it in a lot less than 24 hours.
No, I'm not. This what'll push me. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I think we're going to
I will walk the whole time. Like, I'll keep moving the whole time. I just don't know how quick I'm going to get up Everest.
I think on one mountain that I'm interested in, is Montage Mountain as a 1,000 feet elevation change, but it also has a segment that's like crazy steep. I don't want to misquote, but it is one of the steepest slopes in PA, if not the steepest.
Is that the one right at the
bottom of Long Haul?
Yeah, that's the second steepest ski slope on the East Coast.
Yeah, so
that's fun.
You have to pretty much bear crawl that part, but it's maybe a 100-yard segment of it.
Yeah, and it's like right at the start, so you just knock that out of the way.
Send it, bear crawl quick.
How many times do you have to do it?
If you did Montage, 29 times at Montage, it's like 1,000 feet change. I think at the end of the day, you'd end up doing like around, say, 25 to. Because Montage is so steep, I think it could be a 25 or 26 mile day. If you did other ski slopes in PA, I think it might turn into closer to a 30 mile day.
What about just doing like Ickesburg Mountain, and then
walk up, longboard down?
Yeah, just get a ton of longboards stashed at the top.
Or you could just get we could rent a U-Haul and get somebody who doesn't want to hike, Hershey, to run the U-Haul all day, and you just go up and down. That's another option. I think it would be hard to go down every time because I think you'd just start banging on your knees. I mean, what's the most? I mean, probably the Black Forest Trail is the biggest
to go down too.
Elevation day you've done, right?
Yeah, we did. I think the full Black Forest Trail is an 8,000-ish feet crammed into
40.
Yeah, so that was a very bad day.
So I think the
most
to
do what, like 3-4 times that?
Yeah,
but that's like
not
so
mileage,
rocky and like. We're like soaking wet from start to finish versus like walking straight up a ski slope.
Yeah.
I
don't know. The most I ever did in a day was like 11,000 in the Whites in New Hampshire, and I did it was like a 16-hour day to go 18 miles. So that memory is in my head of how miserable that day was. Of course, I had a full pack on and I was in the middle of it, but 29's a lot.
Full pack, but if you're just going up either grass on a ski slope or asphalt,
you're not. That was a lot of rock hopping and reckless down climbs. So, I'll give it my best shot. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if I'll get to the 29, but I'll give it my best shot.
We're hoping to give a compelling reason to the ski slopes to allow us to turn a ski lift on for 24 hours by donating whatever proceeds we get that exceed venue cost to charity. We're looking at the Big City Mountaineers charity, which is a national charity dedicated to making the outdoors more accessible to inner city kids. And they're like, okay, well, this is enough in alignment with like an outdoor gear company that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it would be great if we could get some extra people in there. And like, I would honestly throw a lot of the cost down just out of pocket so we could donate a little more to the cause.
Right.
Just to make it more compelling. And like, you know, Riggin It Gear is definitely all about getting people outdoors and like, you know, I guess it would be cool to just inspire people to like try something crazy. Even now I'm like, I don't think I can do it, but I'm gonna try. And like, just to get out there, put yourself out there, and then, you know, if we could give back a little, that'd be good too, because we do a lot of suffering for ourselves, but it'd be good to suffer for other people too.
You could even make it like a relay for some people too.
That's what I was thinking.
Do it, you know what I mean?
Because like people, like, I don't know, like my sister and her friends, like I know my sister wouldn't want to do the whole thing. Not that like she's in shape and stuff, but like she would think that was stupid because she's a sane person. But like I know like her and like maybe a couple friends would want to split it up 3 ways and you know, give a good 8-hour push or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think we could get people, and then we could still charge them the same entrance fee, and then, you know, get some more money back. But yeah, we'll have to stay on the ball with that one. I know originally we were talking about doing early June, but it seems like everybody's timelines will have a little more time maybe to do it, but we'll figure all that out.
Yeah, I think maybe another trick that we can borrow would be from the ultra marathon that you came to support, that Billy and I had ran, and they were like the most, I mean this in an endearing way, the most anti, like, family friendly, like, come, you get a t-shirt, food, blah blah blah. There was nothing there. It's like you show up, like, you're only doing this for, you know, pride. I have no idea. You're dumb enough to run an ultra marathon. You're just showing it up because it's a sanctioned race, and you're doing it for the glory of seeing if you can finish / place, whatever, at the ultra. So we paid like $25 to sign up, and you just go there and run. There's no t-shirts, there's no water, there's no food or whatever.
You
you just
bring your own crew.
Yeah, like you show up and you send it. And it would be feasible to make it self-supported like that at a ski slope, for example, so you can just set your own food and water at the bottom, like, and you're coming back down every single time.
Yeah, and like that's how we got to start it. And you know, if these events gain more traction, and you know, maybe Riggin has a little more money to throw in, we could make it a more, you know, not family friendly. Not that it won't be family friendly.
You know, I know what you mean.
We could, you know, have some more cool stuff, and like I don't know. So if we were charging $25, you know, like custom T-shirts are like at least $13. So you're losing a lot of money there. So probably wouldn't do T-shirts for it, or maybe make that extra. But yeah, we'll have to figure that out. I do like organizing like events and stuff. It is fun, so I think, you know, it'd be great. And like, I don't know, Riggin It, it's not all about just suffering in the woods, but like suffering and improving yourself and like breaking down the ego is definitely like a big part of what, you know, led to the formation of the company and what we still like and keep trying to do. So
yeah, I feel like the people showing up to climb the elevation of Everest in a day aren't the same people showing up to the 5Ks that you roll up to get a t-shirt. And there's no problem with that. Like, that's cool that you're getting out and getting after it. My point is, the people showing up to do something like that are insane people for the most part. I don't think they're coming because they want to do the challenge. They're not coming because they like whether or not there's a snack station available is like the make or break of whether or not they're coming to do it.
Yeah, maybe we can get Taco Bell to sponsor.
Yeah.
Have some Baja Blast coolers at the bottom.
For like 20 porta potties.
Yeah. It's like rocket fuel.
So so you guys are like a full on like LLC thing? Okay.
Yeah, we pay our taxes and everything. It sucks.
What's that process like, trying to, you know, become an actual company? Do you have to do anything, or you just file it?
It's pretty simple. Like on David did it, but he just went on LegalZoom and we formed an LLC. I have 55% of the company. He has 45%. But it's like really as simple as just putting your information into LegalZoom, and I think it was like $200-$300, and then we had to pay another $100 registration fee to Colorado to certify as a business there. But it wasn't nothing too crazy. I've been using, like, I used LegalZoom for, like, I'm trying to get a patent on the Riggin It system, like the Riggin It rail. So I did that on LegalZoom too, and it's like, I don't know, you definitely get like a streamlined or like an automated kind of like service thing where like you're like the dude I was talking to, the lawyer today, like definitely like just pulled up my thing and is like looking at it for the first time while I'm talking to him. But it's like, you know, it'll be like $4,000 instead of 15. Because like I talked to like a couple other lawyers and they all said like 10 to 15, like 10 would be like a cut me deal on like a filing utility patent, and this is just like $1,000 for the first step, and then like $2,400 plus filing fees, and then I'm probably gonna have to expedite it, so that'll be like a little extra, but I mean the whole thing will come in under $4,000, so that's not like terrible. That's a lot more easy to swallow than 15. So yeah, I don't know. LegalZoom's pretty good. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, like it. I hope I don't run into any issues with like kind of cheaping out at the beginning with the patent. I tried to do like, I think when you're doing it like this, you kind of have to put more work in on your end. But I have more. You know, when I first came up with the idea, I did a lot of like I drafted the provisional patent, and I spent days and weeks researching like other patents in the field and figuring out their language and stuff. So I tried to do as good a job as I could of, you know, wording it so it wouldn't have to be edited too much. And like from talking to the lawyer today, he said that pretty much all they have to do is they're going to redo the drawings, but what I wrote is pretty much what they can use. It looks good. So like, you know, I saved a little money, but I also think I maybe averted, like I tried to be as comprehensive in my description of the invention and all the uses of it as I could be. So if you're willing to take that on and not, you know, I'm not relying on the lawyer to write anything for me, I think it's a decent option. And we'll see. We'll have to check back in and see if you know, anyone copies my invention, I have to go after them, how that process goes. I mean, I need money for that, so hopefully this Kickstarter goes well, and if anyone tries to steal my ideas. But I do think they're worth stealing. That's one thing, like, I really am confident in this idea, and I think another company would want to take it, so, you know, well, it's a good feeling.
So, you know, you kind of mentioned in passing earlier that you aren't going through the 9 to 5 as an engineer anymore, at least in terms of the orthodox engineering position. Now, you know, designing backpacks is kind of the engineering part of your day, but obviously it sounds like you have to front some out-of-pocket things like, you know, LegalZoom, etc. How do you kind of, you know, sort through that cash flow while you're also in the trenches, like as an entrepreneur, like trying to get everything off the ground?
Yeah, so like I stay busy. I work full-time construction. Like I do painting, finish carpentry, you know, like spackling, that kind of stuff for a new nursing home they're building. So I do that like 40 hours a week. It's a pretty flexible job, so like, I don't know, after this last challenge, I showed up at noon on Monday, and it wasn't a big deal, and I took off at noon today to deal with this, so I'm going to work. I'll have a couple 10, 12-hour shifts, or maybe Saturday when I get back. But I like working with my hands. It's very hard for me to like sit at a desk all day. I go a little crazy. It's hard. I don't really stay focused that well if I'm not like stimulated. And I didn't want to, like, after I got off the trail, you know, I was thinking maybe go back into engineering, make a little more money than I'm making now, because that would kind of grease the wheels a little bit, because, you know, I am paying for, you know, materials and, you know, this LegalZoom stuff, and paying for the different trips and stuff I go on. But at the same time, I think it is valuable that I can just show up, and like when you're painting, it's not like you're thinking about much, so I can really, you know, contemplate a lot of different stuff. Like I plan out, or, you know, think about stuff with the company a lot. I'll plan out podcast episodes, or, you know, what I'm going to do after work. And and like it's kind of like hiking where you're just doing the same thing all day, and you kind of can let your mind wander or like listen to podcasts. So I actually genuinely like enjoy the job. My boss is like a really cool guy, so like I said earlier about the schedule flexibility, that is like really important to me because like I do a lot of different trips, and I don't mind working 40 hours a week, but it helps a lot that I can pick which 40 hours to work. Like, I mean, I've come in at like 4 o'clock and worked till midnight before, stuff like that, where because I had stuff during the day to do, and they're cool with that because I kind of know what I'm doing. And like with an engineering job, it's a lot of thinking, obviously, and any company that I would sign on with, there would be like a training period, and so it's like an investment to hire an engineer. And I don't have plans of doing that for long, so I kind of feel bad, wasting their time, or they might not even take a chance on me if I'm, and I'd want to be upfront about my intentions. So like all my mental energy goes to rigging it, and then I can work, and I'm pretty busy with like I try to work 8 hours a day, and then put 2 to 4 hours in on rigging it every day. Mostly, I mean, I usually take one day off a week to chill. Just do whatever, watch Netflix usually, but I try to do something with rigging it every day, and especially now with the Kickstarter coming up, we started a podcast. Pretty much I'm done designing the gear for this Kickstarter, but I'm still making prototypes, and like I'm making a set of prototypes for everybody going to trail days. I made a couple last week for this 4x4. So yeah, I stay busy, and like I've always, I don't know, when I was a kid I always like thought construction workers were cool. I always thought it's cool to like build stuff. When I was engineering, I felt bad because I would make these designs and plans, and then people would build them, and I knew that I didn't know how to build it. Like if I was the one working the tools, I wouldn't be able to put it together. So that always kind of ate at me. So yeah, I mean with this job, like I've picked up a lot of like just handy skills. Like I definitely could build, combined with my engineering, I definitely could build my own house and stuff now and make it look nice. So that's kind of cool. But yeah.
So you said you've been kind of building in time for your own podcast.
Yep.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we got the Rigcast. I think we're 13 or 14 episodes. I think 13 episodes in.
Dang, he's catching us way too fast.
Smokes. Yeah, we gotta get going, Cole.
I've had I love podcasts. Like I listen to them all day. I think, when everybody posted their Spotify Wraps last year, I smoked everybody in podcast hours listened to. Like I listened to 122,000 minutes, and I think I don't think anyone I saw was above like 60,000. So like that's all I do. Like when I hike or when I work, I just got a podcast in, and like I've been studying like the podcasts I like and what makes them successful, why I enjoy them, and like I listen to all kinds of different stuff from like the Barstool Sports to
you're listening to a Caller Daddy.
I listen. I can't do it. I can't do Caller Daddy. It makes me like sick. I can't deal with it. But like there is something to learn from their like growth and stuff. So I do try to learn my lessons, and like part of my take is like one of the best podcasts. It's just like a dumb sports show, but and I like it a lot. And then they have Token CEO, which is another podcast that their CEO makes, and she just talks about growth and like social media and how to build a brand. That stuff is good. I listened to like this like horror comedy podcast, Last Podcast on the Left, and like I think their chemistry together is awesome, and like the amount of work they put into each episode to make it like a really enjoyable experience is good. So I've been wanting to like do my own podcast for a while, and like when I sent the designs in for the fanny pack, and like I had that finally like really nailed down, I was like, all right, now we gotta start building our social media presence. And like I was thinking a YouTube channel would be good, but that's like a lot, I don't know, like a lot of work to get going on that and like get in depth, and like my computer's pretty crappy, so I don't know how it would process video.
I feel like it's pretty tough to grow a YouTube channel now.
Yeah. There's a lot out there, and like you really got to dedicate to it. So I just basically I was like, I'm gonna do a podcast. I think it'd be cool to show people a look in on a company growing. Like it's a organic take on like we are a startup, and we talk about different camping stuff, our interests, and we also like check in with the business and our process. And like I think it'll be a great record for people that want to start their own thing, or you know, even if it's just like, you know, my nephews, or, you know, if I have kids or whatever someday, to be able to look back and like listen to what I was doing during this time in my life. I think it's a great record of that, at least. And like, I don't know, I think I don't know, for the people that do end up listening to the podcast, I think it'll be a great way to build a relationship with them, because most people I talk to about the company, you know, they're into it, they like what I have to say, and they support it. So like, if I just need to get that voice magnified and into more people's ears than just like word of mouth. So but yeah, we do it twice a week, and it's great too for me and David, because we'll check in and have our like business meetings kind of before or after we record. So it's a great way for us to, you know, stay on top of each other, make sure we're doing what we need to do, and stay coordinated. Our communication sometimes is like a little lacking, but that's both of our personalities. I think we're both the type to, you know, put down the phone when it's time and like kind of disconnect. It's good to have those, you know, times built in, but then it's also good to like know we're checking in every, you know, Monday and Wednesday or whatever. So yeah, I don't know, I really like it. Check it out. It's on Spotify. It's called the Rigcast. We talk about all kinds of stuff, just like ultralight backpacking, my time on the Appalachian Trail, how we started the company. We talk David rock climbs and mountain bikes and snowboards, so we talk about those. He's out living in Colorado, so he's got some interesting stories about that. And
so do you do them over Zoom or something like that, or
we use it's called cleanfeed.com. It's like Zoom, but it's just audio. I was on Trail Tales podcast with Kyle Hates Hiking, and that's what he used for our episode, and it sounded really nice, and it was like really easy to run, so I just did that. I know I'd messaged Cole and one of my other friends who makes a podcast and asked about their system, and it was like kind of overwhelming, but this clean feed thing's really easy. I just I save it, I drag and drop it to Anchor, and then I usually I'll cut a little bit off the beginning to make sure the opening sounds good, and then I just send it out there. It's super easy. I can usually edit and post. Like I'll record. We usually record Monday and Wednesday night, so I'll just record it, and then I'll be full of energy from talking and getting all worked up about the company. So I'll just quick upload it, edit it, get it all set up, and then I'll either launch it that night, or I'll just wake up in the morning and launch it right away.
That's our problem, is we do a podcast and then like it gets released 2-3 months later.
Yeah,
and we'll be talking about things like specific to that exact time. It's like, well, this isn't
we need to take some tips from you, man.
We need to get our cameraman and
editor
back.
We lost him. He's up in Connecticut.
Well, I mean, I don't know, like, you guys are busy in, you know, pharmacy school and med school, and like, I don't know, like with Riggin It, it's like I have to do this that's one thing I learned from Token CEO. She's talking about, like, don't worry about your content isn't like perfect or like super professional looking. You just need to put stuff out consistently and build that relationship, and like people expect you on Tuesday and Thursday. So like I'm really committed to that.
That was our thought process in the beginning.
Yeah.
That kind of fell off with the wayside.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing something a little bit new, where Nick and I just pick a subject we're interested in, whether it's, you know, it could be in the hard sciences, like insulin resistance as a topic, or it could be like a deep philosophical question, and then kind of doing like our own self-research, and then just, you know, having podcasts with just us two about it. And then if we wanted to, we could branch off and do other episodes that tackle the same problem / subject with like experts in that field. I think that's interesting. It will be a bit of a rebrand of the podcast, but sounds fun.
Yeah.
And also probably like create like a semi-schedule for us.
Yeah, more manageable probably too.
Yeah.
And then we can, like you said, we can always bring in guests and everything we could always just do like these kind of episodes still.
Right.
It doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah, I mean, with the Rigcast, like, it's a pretty chaotic, like, you know, we've done interviews, we've done like just little deep dives on different topics. There's no real, we're trying to work out like a schedule, maybe like every 5 episodes have an interview, but at the same time we're just kind of, I want to get as much stuff out there, so like if someone comes, you know, to our Kickstarter and is like, oh, I want to hear more about these guys, like we'll have 20 episodes they can look at. It's like, all right, these guys are legit. They're putting stuff out. So that's kind of, and I kind of wish we had started earlier, but like whatever, it is what it is. So you just gotta roll with it. And I'm making my first YouTube video.
Hey.
I'm gonna make how to sew the Riggin It fanny pack. So I gotta do that. I'm just gonna film it on my iPhone.
So the fanny pack was like your first thing, right?
Yeah, well, just like a regular fanny pack was like the first thing I sold. And then it went to like this.
Was that before you had made your own pack and all that, or did you start with making your pack?
No, the first thing I ever sewed was like a sleeping bag.
Okay.
And that was maybe not the best project to start with, but I was ambitious. I made like a sleeping bag, and then I think I made like a couple failed backpacks. Like the one I was gonna bring on a trip to the Loyalsock was actually the first time I met Cole. I was texting Hershey. I was all excited. I had this like super ultralight pack, and then like before I left, I like swung it up on my shoulder to like test it out, and like the strap just popped out.
Oh god.
I was like, all right, I guess I'm using the Granite gear. But you know, it worked from there. And then like for the Appalachian Trail, I had one half of my sleeping bag system. I had a down quilt and a synthetic over quilt for like the winter. So that was homemade. My rain pants were homemade. My raincoat was homemade. I had a fanny pack that was homemade. I started with a Granite Gear backpack, and then for the winter, because I need a little more volume, and then for the second half, I used a homemade pack that I had made. I'm trying to think what else I made those, but yeah, it was just. I mean, I had like a decent mix of homemade gear in there.
Yeah, and you made a hammock for me. And I saw you were making masks during the pandemic.
Yeah.
What other other ideas and things that you have out there?
Actually, David kind of had, because David wanted to learn how to sew, and this was when I was still kind of developing the patent. So that was kind of his project to make the mask, which was awesome. That's kind of how he learned to sew, because he wanted more. He's like a really smart friend of mine. He has a computer and an electrical engineering degree. We used to camp and hike at Messiah a lot, and so he felt like I am intelligent, but I want to get some hands-on experience. So that's kind of how I taught him to sew, and he made some fanny packs and stuff. Since we released, like when we launched, we just had like 100 regular fanny packs, and then after that, I started, developing this modular system. So that's what I was like dedicated to, and I'm working on that. I think like a Riggin It hammock system would be cool. Like if I could think of a unique kind of innovative way to do a hammock. Like I've been working with ideas of like a hammock that you could set up, and then you could have it so that your rain tarp is like above you, but like bunched up, so you can like look at the stars. And then if it like starts raining in the middle of the night, you can like pull on ropes and like stretch your tarp out so you're safe.
Oh, cool.
That's like a problem I have. I like the design based off like problems that I have in my experience. So like that's always an issue. It's like, oh well, like the stars are really nice, but it might rain later. Should I set up my tarp? Or like honestly, usually it's just like a laziness thing. But if you could set it up and so you could still see the stars, but if you could from your hammock quick rig it out, and I think that would fit with like the Riggin It kind of thing, because you're using lines and pulleys and stuff. So I have like sketches of that. I also have like an idea for a zipperless tent that I kind of like. I saw a guy on Reddit making, so I might take that idea and run with it.
So how does that work? Zipperless tent.
It's like he has it on like a cinch. It's not. It's like it's basically like. It's not sealed in on the bottom, so you have a bug net and stuff, but like I don't even really know what it is he had, but like he could slide up the door of the tent. Like it would be like a pyramid, and then one of the corners he like slid up the ridge line, so it would open the whole thing up, and then you could like push it back down. When I worked in Colorado, one of the jobs I had was at like a Boulder Mountain Repair, and they repair like gear, like tents, backpacks, sleeping bags, all that stuff. And like 85% of their business is broken zippers. And like for a fanny pack, it's like $25 for a new zipper. For a backpack, it's like $45. It's like $100 for a sleeping bag. So I'm gonna try to avoid zippers as much as I can, because they're usually the thing that can break, especially if you're like in a lot of sand, or like you don't treat the zipper well, or you try to like overload your backpack and they pop, and then you got to replace it with your warranty. So like we have zippers on our fanny packs, but I made sure to like over design them a little bit. They're a little heavier than maybe like an ultralight designer would use, but I think it'll be worth it not having to like, I mean, that if you have to do a $25 zipper repair, that kills all your profit for that bag. So I mean, at that point you might as well just send them a new one. So that's like one lesson I learned, and that's why I'm trying to avoid zippers. And like, I don't know, like in the dark, it's like annoying, like make sure the thing's on the right thing. So like a zipperless tent would be cool. But I mean, those are all just kind of ideas. And like one thing like like a saying I've come up with, or like something I repeat, and like, because people love to throw ideas at you and they hear you're like making a company. But like, I don't know, ideas are cheap and action is expensive. So like, anybody can come up with an idea, and like I had this idea for a modular backpack, and here I am like a year and a half later finally bringing it to market. So if you want like a good product, even if you have a good idea, you have to work with it a lot and refine it, and you know, there's a lot of time and energy put into that. So like I like to think of new ideas, but it's also like, let me just get done what I have in front of me, and then we'll go from there. I did sew myself a tarp just for personal use. I have a couple projects I do, but I did make myself a tarp, and I am going to make myself a tent, but I'll probably just copy like the duplex or another design for that. I'm not going to innovate with that yet, but down the road, definitely.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've been getting into woodworking lately, and similar thing, like the design takes forever. Like I'll have an idea in my head of what I want to build, and then I like sit down to actually like cut some boards and figure out what I'm doing. I'm like, actually I have no idea like how I'm gonna do this, and then it takes another like forever amount of time to just like design exactly everything that you need for it.
I rolled up today, I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, I'm building a bed. I was like, for who? He's like, oh, myself, for whenever I need a bed next.
I don't know, I just like random ideas. Like last summer I built a desk with my dad, so we decided we'll make a, you know, I thought I wanted to kind of like make a bedroom set at some point, so making a bed along with it now. But it's been like, you know, I spent like 3-4 months just figuring out like how I'm gonna do it exactly, and now I'm just finally getting to the part where we like actually cut the boards.
Word. See, that's one nice thing about like doing the sewing, is it's pretty cheap just to like make like a crappy prototype. You can just like make it, like, because I always am like, and this is something I'm learning and I'm getting better at, but like I always just rush through the design. I'm like, I want the product, and then it's like it takes me a couple passes to walk it in. But my dad does a lot of woodworking, and like that's kind of what got me. I mean, he would have me using the tools and stuff when I was little, and that kind of helped me, you know that I can make stuff with my hands. But he will take months on projects, and they look amazing when they're done, but it's just such meticulous, and like you gotta really be thorough work. He's got all kinds of notes and dimensions, and it's funny. It's the only thing that makes my dad curse is woodworking.
Yeah. Cut something like a ½ inch too short, and it's
measure twice, cut once. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that one. Let the tool do the work.
On top of your dad, you know, getting you interested in maybe, you know, not necessarily woodworking, but being a craftsman of sorts, I know where this answer goes, but I'm interested to hear how you tell the story back. Can you kind of give us some context around the art of ultralight backpacking and kind of how that book fits into the equation? I think that's the correct title. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I believe it's the Art of Ultralight Backpacking by Ray Jardine. If you just Google Ray Jardine ultralight backpacking, you'll get it. And I think he's done multiple editions since the one I read. But yeah, it was like this book. When I was doing concrete design homework in the library, and all my fellow 2017 civil engineering grads know that class was a bear. We had like an adjunct who never taught it before, and like it was like he just made it ridiculously hard. So I was struggling through a homework set, and I took a break to whatever, clear my mind, to not rip my hair out, and I knew I was going to the Appalachian Trail that weekend for some camping, so I went over to the outdoor section, and I was looking, because I knew they had maps, and I was looking in there, and then I saw this book. It said The Art of Ultralight Backpacking, and like it was the year after, or a year or two after I'd stopped wrestling and I'd started getting more into hiking. And like, so the summer before, I'd been on a couple trips with my buddies, and just, we didn't go very far, and I was packing heavy. And I've known since I was little that I didn't like carrying a lot when I backpacked. It was always like, I loved getting to the campsite and all the camping stuff, and I liked being out there and being dirty and obviously and all that. But I hated the hiking because it was just hard. So I was like, how can I lighten up my pack? Something drew me to the book. So like, I sat down to read it, and then I accidentally read like all like 200 pages of it in one sitting. Did not get my homework done on time that day. I think I was working ahead, so I had a little wiggle room. But I read this whole book, and he was just talking about, he laid out all these like principles of ultralight backpacking and like how to make your gear lighter. What are like the core concepts? Like, what do you actually need out there? And he introduced the idea of like making your own gear, because like when he started backpacking and doing these trails like with his wife, he's done the Appalachian Trail a number of times, the PCT. You know, think of an adventure, they've done it. Like, they've rode across the Atlantic, they skied to the South Pole. So he's this guy, you know, he wants high performance out of his gear. And he's like a former NASA engineer, so he had like kind of the intelligence to figure it out. But he laid out like these projects you can do to sew your own gear, and like he designed like a backpack and a quilt that are kind of, you know, what all the ultralight gear you see now is all iterations of what he laid out in that book. And then so basically just reading that, and like I didn't want to, you know, I'm a poor college kid, I didn't want to spend a ton of money to like lighten up my pack, and I didn't, you know, I wasn't even thinking about some of the stuff he talked about, like not needing a frame, or, you know, using a tarp instead of a tent. Like, that seems crazy, but, you know, what is a tent but a tarp held up by poles, you know? And like, you know, he talked about like backpacking quilts versus sleeping bags. So like, when you're in a sleeping bag, all the insulation underneath you is crushed by your body, so it's not actually effective insulation. So you're carrying around half your sleeping bag for no reason. So he invented like a backpacking quilt. So it's like a sleeping bag, but it doesn't have a bottom. So you use your sleeping pad underneath you for insulation, and then it's kind of just like a comforter at home with a foot box. And I really like that a lot because I wiggle in my sleep, and there's a little more room to move. And you know, it's half the weight of a sleeping bag, and it's usually cheaper because you don't have to buy as much down or whatever. So I really like that idea. And he has like instructions kind of how to sew, and then he has like kits you can buy off his website. But I just kind of looked at the kit and like reverse engineered what I needed to buy, and ordered the like materials from Ripstop by the roll for the sleeping bag. And then my mom taught me how to taught me how to work a sewing machine, thread it, and get it going and stuff. So that's how I learned. And like, the first one I made was like it was too short, but it's a nice blanket, I guess. And we went from there. But if you're interested in learning more about ultralight backpacking, some of the information is kind of dated, but I mean, the principles are still hold true. That book by Ray Jardine. So if you just check out his website, like, he's got all kinds of blog posts, and like, it's a pretty interesting guy.
Just to run with that a little bit further, if someone is interested not just in learning more about ultralight backpacking, but just the whole process of getting dialed in for backpacking. I know something that I was asking you on one of our final legs of the 4x4 this past weekend was, since I'm finishing up pharmacy school and have spent a substantial amount of my time wrestling and so on, studying, and now that's kind of coming to an end in a way. I want to get really dialed in, especially moving forward with the goal of thru-hiking the PCT in the near future. So I was asking, how do I take myself from white belt to, say, blue or purple belt as quick as possible? And we were talking about that book, but you had mentioned a couple other resources as well. So what were they?
Yeah, another, like, a really good one, which I'm nervous he might be putting it behind a paywall soon, but Andrew Skirka's website, he was like the 2011 National Geographic Adventure of the Year. He walked across America. He did like a couple 1,000-mile loop in Alaska that was like all off trail and like crazy stuff. But he has like I think it's like the 11 Essentials layering system for clothes, which is like a really good article and like spreadsheets about like what you actually need in terms of like he's not giving you like brands like, oh, buy this shirt that sponsors me. He's like, no, you need a mid-weight polyester wool base layer. Examples, 200 weight fleece, like stuff like that. I don't know, it's like it appeals to my engineering brain a lot. And he talks about like what clothing you would need and like what specifications you should look for in your clothing. Same with like shelters and tarps and stuff, and he lays out, you know, if you want to spend a lot of money, here's an example you could get, or here's like you can kind of cheap out like this. And he's also got a lot of good like recipes and stuff on his website. I eat his peanut noodles. I actually had that before I drove up here. I eat the peanut noodles all the time. It's a great, filling trail or home meal.
What are peanut noodles?
Peanut noodles are the best. It's ramen, or so like the cheap ramen, or it's actually pretty good if you get like the nicer ramen from I don't know, I forget what it's
bougie ramen.
Yeah, it's got like the buckwheat and millet and stuff in it, but it's supposed to be healthier. It takes longer to cook. But yeah, then it's mixed with the peanut sauce, or it's like peanut butter, garlic, soy sauce, vinegar, sesame oil or olive oil. You put, I'm trying to remember, like you can put like red pepper flakes in there. I like add like General Tso's sauce or like a chili garlic wing sauce in there. I just have a big old jar of peanut butter. And it's like a super filling. Like I do 2 ramen packets and then like 2 or 3 healthy scoops of the sauce, and you can mix it in. And it's like it's very calorically dense meal. Peanut butter is like a really good food for backpacking because it's shelf stable, has protein, has fat. I just can't eat it normal. Like I can eat it like on a bagel or something, but like you definitely can get peanut butter fatigue on trail. But not with the peanut noodles. I don't know. Like it's kind of like, I don't know, if you like pad thai, or like I think it's a Thai recipe or like Filipino recipe. But yeah, if you like pad thai, it's pretty good. And I'm only one of my friends that I've had try it didn't really like it. Everyone else really liked it. And yeah, dude, you'll feel super full after eating it. Like I'll work construction all day, and then I'll come home and eat that, and gets me back right for sure.
I don't know if I would get peanut butter fatigue. I eat so much peanut butter, it is unbelievable. Like I go through phases. It's like, especially these past couple months while I was on the tail end of rotations and had some of my harder rotations stacked at the end of the year, where I would not go grocery shopping for real food that I could cook for like a month and a half at a time, and I would eat boluses of peanut butter, occasionally with bananas, but I would just run into Walmart, buy like a 4-pound, or no, it might be like 6-pound, either way, a ridiculous amount of peanut butter, and I would just take a couple spoonfuls of peanut butter every morning, wash down some milk, and be like, all right, time to start the day. And then you get a break for some food later, you slam a couple more boluses of peanut butter. It hits all your macros, honestly. I love the taste of peanut butter, especially when you're washing down with milk. It's a good time. Yeah.
Are you the Goobers guy?
Oh yeah. The first time I met Younger, he mentioned in passing earlier, when we were on the Loyalsock Trail, I was really heavy packing then. That was one of my first overnight trips.
You weren't too bad.
It wasn't the worst in the world.
Your backpack was ridiculous, but
yeah, it was.
You weren't carrying like a bunch of extra stuff.
I can't remember.
But you had goobers in a glass jar, which is ridiculous.
I did.
You get that to a plastic container.
I was just like had a full pound
of. It looked good.
It's so good. It's like peanut butter and jelly mixed together, and I just eat it with a spoon. It's pretty calorically dense.
When I was hiking on the AT, there was like, at the end, like, and I was getting real, I was depleting my fat reserves and like getting tired of everything, I would force myself to eat a bagel and peanut butter in the morning. And like when I did that, I would feel great because it is a good high calorie food and it's hard to get all that into you. But like I was forcing it into me. Like it was pretty I'd have like my Mio energy. I'd like take a bite of peanut butter, wash it down real quick. But I mean, if you don't get sick of peanut butter, that's awesome for the trail. That bodes well for your PCT hopes.
So other thing I'm curious, just like since we're kind of on the topic of gear and carrying stuff, like what's your footwear like on the trails? Like what kind of, do you have like, is that like there's something that's better than other things, or you just kind of do whatever's comfortable?
Yeah, so I mean, footwear is like such a, especially on like Reddit, on the ultralight things I'm on, it's such a touchy topic that with people because everybody's feet are different. But I love, I don't think you need boots to hike. I think a lot of like blisters and hiking injuries and people hate it is because they think they have to buy these like heavy clomping boots to go hike 5 miles in Pennsylvania. I don't think you need that. And they say, oh, you need ankle support, but like I think that first of all, boot really doesn't give you that much ankle support. Like if you need ankle support, you should probably just wear ankle braces. And then when you do roll your ankle in a boot, like it might prevent you from rolling, but when you do roll your ankle in a boot, you have the extra like leverage of the boot coming up, so it actually torques your ankle worse. So I've definitely rolled my ankle way worse in boots than I ever have in sneakers. And I really love the Ultra Lone Peak. 3.5 was the best model, but they're all right still.
Ultra, for the listener, ALTRA.
Yeah, that's what I was wearing those on my whole through hike. Been wearing them, like I wear them to work. I got like a bunch of pairs at the one REI garage sale, so I finally burned through those. But like honestly, like the best all around sneaker is the Ultra. You gotta be careful with them because they're a zero drop. So if you're used to like a 4 or 8 millimeter drop between your heel and your toe, you can have some Achilles issues right away. So it's important to ease into it if you're switching to like a zero drop footwear. But I think like the midfoot striking is better for my feet, and like I don't know, like I think there's like the U.S. Army did a study that proved that just because of like the carrying 1 pound on your foot is equal to 7 pounds on your back, just because of the way, you know, you're lifting it up and you have like the leverage and like you know, the weight's like directly on your feet, so it's more taxing to carry weight on your feet. So like I think a lightweight shoe is important.
Dang, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
So yeah. So I don't know, I'm not a big boot guy, and like people will get mad at you for saying that online, but I don't know. In my experience, I've always gotten blisters. I've always had really sore feet from them being like locked into place. And like, I don't know, I just did this 4x4x48. I was using the Ultra Temps, which is a little different of a shoe, but it's pretty similar to the Lone Peak. And like, I don't know, my feet are fine. So, yeah, I don't know. I really would advocate for Ultra, or like Saucony had a really good one, the Saucony Peregrine, but then they removed some of the toe box reinforcements. So like I had a pair of those. That's what I went to Peru with, and I really loved them because they were like nice and grippy and they were light. But then I got another pair on the AT and I walked them for a week before I blew them out. So if they add that reinforcement back, I might do a Saucony. That's a 4 millimeter drop instead of the zero drop, but I don't know. That's a whole thing that you can get into, the whole zero drop versus drop, but according to Born to Run, you should have a zero drop. I listen to that book.
Maybe Nick could speak to this a little more eloquently than I could, because he ran in minimalist shoes like a madman for a while. But I think the thought process by Ultra for having the zero drop, meaning that the heel is the same height as the toe, is that you're keeping a constant amount of tension, a healthy amount of tension in their opinion, in the Achilles, and you don't want to have like slack in your Achilles by having like, you know, your heel raised higher than your toe, which you would see in most like road running shoes nowadays. If you walked into Dick's Sporting Goods and picked up like a Nike shoe, or I mean, I shouldn't bash Nike, they had like free runs and stuff that I guess weren't too bad, but like, you know, a bunch of run of the mill road shoes that have a high heel, at least to having some slack in your Achilles. And then when you like plant off, you're going from like, you know, tension to slack over and over and over again while you're running. So I think that's the thought behind it. Plus, you know, by driving off the ball of your foot, the thought is that you're running the same way you would if you are barefoot. Like you want heel strike if you were running barefoot, so should probably just run the way that your body has, you know, been made to run.
Yeah, it's much more natural to do.
Right.
Yeah, I still wear those like Vivo barefoot things, but The first few times I wore them, they destroyed my calves because it was just like not used to it at all. Using muscles that you normally don't use, and it's just my calves felt so sore. But what were you wearing the other day for your 4x4 thing? Because
he made me a religious zealot for the ultras. I think I have 3 pairs now. I just like gave the wall behind me the people's elbow. So I have the road running shoes, which are the Escalantes, and then I have 2 different levels of the trail runners. I have the Lone Peaks that Younger was talking about, which is kind of like they're all minimalist because it's ultra trail running shoes, but it's kind of their in-between level of padding. And then I have the lightest level of padding, which is the Superior, which is like awesome for... If I was like, going on a date for like a 5-mile hike, it would be like awesome. But I've took them along for like 50+ mile days, and my feet are like ravaged.
Can you feel like pretty much everything under your feet in those?
Not the Lone Peaks. The Lone Peaks, I'm like pretty fine with the Lone Peaks. The Superiors are like about as minimalist as you can get. And if you're in Pennsylvania stepping on rocks and roots like every other step, it'll add up if you're putting in stupid miles. You would be fine if you're putting in 10-mile days, but you know,
because I mean mine are like specifically like for road running shoes, but like I can feel just like the slightest little pebble under my feet. It's basically like I am barefoot. So that's what I was like. I don't know if I'd want that on a trail.
I used to wear the Merrell trail gloves, which are pretty similar to the Vivo Barefoot. I mean, it's just the rubber at the bottom. There's no padding, and like I liked them for trail running because I was quick in them. But like when I first got them, and I was like, this is before I hiked the AT, so I was like a lot overweight, and I did like. Me and my buddy were hiking on the AT, and we was like 17-mile day to the shelter, and my feet were like screaming. And we get to the shelter, and it's like packed out, and like we weren't planning on that. I had like a poncho tarp, but my buddy didn't have anything to go. Like we were just counting on sleeping in the thing, and we knew it was gonna be like 40 degrees and rainy that night, which is like you don't want to get wet for. So then we had to hike 6 more miles out, and like my feet and calves were like screaming. That was a pretty painful day. So I haven't done any like long backpacking days in those. But I think if I work back into it, I wouldn't mind it. Like I don't know. I do want to experiment more with building up my foot strength and like maybe using the Superiors or the King Mountain's another one that's kind of similar in lower padding. But like with the Lone Peak, like I don't know, your feet they're a nice balance of not being too clunky and being pretty comfortable all day. Like it's their ultra marathon shoe, so and that's what it's designed for. And then hikers kind of co-opted it, made it their own. But yeah, I don't know, I really like them. They are adding like a little bit of a heel cup on these newer models, which I'm not like the biggest fan of. I think Ultra got bought by Vanity Fair. So, I mean, they have like a more corporate leadership now, and I know like people like the heel cup and the Solomons, but I'm nervous that they're gonna like try to make them too much like another like the Solomons or whatever, and not just be Ultra, because that's why we love them. So, I don't know, if I could, I'd definitely go back and buy more of the 3.5s, but it's too late.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but they also have like a very wide toe box. So if you're putting crazy miles in, your feet started to get swollen after 25+ miles in the day after being on your feet all day, trudging around in the woods. And the toe box is pretty wide, so that's nice as well.
It lets your feet like spread out and lets your toes be toes, because when they're jammed together, that's when you get a lot of like inner toe blisters, and like, or you can get like a lot like on the outside of your pinky toe. Like in my Vask boots, like I've had that shredded up, and like the heel just like all beat up because there's not enough space for your foot to move. And like I think some people can feel like they're swimming in it, and like they don't have good balance over the rocks. But I think that's, I don't know, it's like almost a skill you pick up, or like you learn how to like use your weight and like not just rely on your shoe to get you through. Like you kind of plan how you step through it better. But I think when you're not just like stomping through stuff, like it's
Right.
better for your body, and like you gotta let your muscles take the impact, because you can eat protein and then your muscles regrow.
Science.
You can't Riggin It science. But your joints, you can't eat anything to make your joints regrow. So if you're just banging on your knees because you don't feel it because your shoes are all padded, like you'll pay for it eventually. That's my Riggin It science. I don't know, but that's what I think.
We're on board.
For sure.
Yeah, there's probably parts of Riggin It science that Cole doesn't agree with, like my water filtering strategies, but
Yes, because this man doesn't filter water like half the time. He thinks he's immune to Giardia.
I'm pretty sure I am.
So you just drink straight from like a stream or what?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to be selective with it, but the more I get into this and the lazier, like when I first started not filtering, it was like, all right, if I can see it coming out of a spring, out of the ground or out of a mountain, like that's clear to drink, because it's been, I mean, we learned about this in like environmental engineering, but if all it takes is like water going through like 2 feet of earth and it's filtered out, like it's just clean as water. So if you can see where it comes out, as long as no one's like defecated like right on it, you're good. And then that kind of went to like, oh, well, I'm pretty high up the mountain, I don't think anything's above me, I'll drink this water. And then like my rule is like I won't drink if I'm like near a road or anything. And then I was hiking with Hershey like 2 weekends ago, and like I didn't filter anything, and I was fine. So I don't know. We'll see. If I had read, like, I don't know, I'm not like a big medical guy, but I had read that you can like develop a tolerance to Giardia, or like if you only drink the levels you've been previously, like the concentrations you've been previously exposed to, you should be good. But I don't know. Like this isn't my. Wouldn't recommend it, but like a lot of hikers on YouTube and stuff, they do like just not filter their water. Like this one guy, Jupiter, he hiked the Eastern Continental Trail, so that's from like, it's like the International Appalachian Trail goes north from Katahdin up through Canada to like Newfoundland, I believe. So you start on the coast, and then he walked all the way down to Key West, Florida, and like from Virginia south, he didn't treat any water and like didn't get sick. And that's like Florida Trail swamps and like nasty sources, but he just...
I'd do it the other way.
Yeah. No, seriously, he was going through like Alabama and like road walking and stuff and just drinking out of the water. Like there's definitely farm pesticides and stuff in there, but I don't know. He's alive. He's still hiking, so...
At Messiah, when you were there, weren't they like testing like different water filter like companies there?
Yeah, so Sawyer... And actually my business partner David, he worked on this project as his like senior project. Like with the engineering program, you get like your last 2 years you get like a capstone project, but it's like a real world. They try to like hook you up with real world applications for like different NGOs and like missionary type stuff. And one of the projects, we work with Sawyer a lot because they design their filter to be used in like developing countries. And so they had this 1 million gallon guarantee on their water filters, but they didn't actually test that, so like they can't say it. So they're like, all right, we should test this and run it. And then me and David actually kind of talked about this a little earlier, so I don't feel bad saying it, but he designed, like, he's a computer engineer, so he designed like the software on like they had a big board that they built with like 100 different Sawyer filters, and they would take water from the creek, I think near Messiah, and they'd run it through, and then they had it all scheduled like on back flushes to like maintain it, and they just ran it for months. And like they like they could kind of get to like 60,000 gallons consistently, and before they'd start to crap out. But they still say it's a 100,000 gallon guarantee, and like the owner of Sawyer just was like, I don't think you guys did the experiment right, and like just threw out the results. But like I don't know, like I do think they did the experiment fine. It was like overseen by, the head of the environmental engineering department, and I kind of don't like Sawyer for that reason. Katahdin is better, but they also claim a 100,000 gallon guarantee, which I don't think they can, because I don't think they. I mean, my David did the science experiment, and they don't, on like 100 of them, and they never made it past 60,000 gallons. So I don't know. It's a little, especially when they guaranteed 1 million. and that's like being perfectly maintained, like with the machine back flushing it and stuff. So I mean, and that's like an absurd amount of water to be able to filter. Like, it's not like that matters. Like, I think you go through like 2,000 or 3,000 gallons maybe on a through hike. I had heard on like this one podcast. I haven't checked those numbers out at all, but like, you know, you're not going to get to 60,000 gallons. Maybe, you know, in the applications like in developing countries where like you have a village using a filter or two, you get closer to that number. But yeah, I think that's a little dishonest of them.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Katydin Be Free.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like, first off, it's way faster than the Sawyers. Like, if nothing else, it's, you know, the Delta is probably 3 or 4 minutes faster of filling up, like, say, a 1 liter, you know, water bottle, or two water bottles. I don't know, it's just so much faster. And if you're like just itching to kill miles on the trail, you know, you reach the point of the day where you just want to get done, but also you're like experiencing dehydration, hallucinations, like, gosh dang, gotta get some water. Last thing I want to do is like take 15 minutes to...
Yeah, that's why I just scoop it out.
True. Yeah, I guess that, you know, is a fair rebuttal. But as someone that's gotten pretty sick with drinking some river water accidentally, I didn't treat my filter correctly and it broke. And my buddy Andrew and I were on a kayak trip, and I got a pretty bad GI infection. And like the day after we got back, I started having like real bad abdominal cramps on the trip, and he had to lug me around on. He's like tied together like a, what's it called, like paracord on like kayak to kayak, and he's like helping pull me around. I had like terrible abdominal cramps, and then in like less than 24 hours I lost like 8 to 10 pounds when I didn't have much to lose from like diarrhea. It was a good time. So yeah, anyway, treat your water filters if you are not Jacob Younger and want to filter your water.
I feel like part of my problem is like with like wrestling and like cutting weight, and then like I'm just okay with like really bad things happening to my GI tract, and like I've just abused it my whole life, so it's like whatever. When we were in Peru, I drank some tap water unfiltered like at the end of our trip, and I got like passive diarrhea for like the next month. Like it was, and we all my buddies that were with me, we all had the same thing. And like it just didn't, and they're swimmers, so they're, you know, pretty, you know, stubborn and dumb in their ways, so like it was just like, whatever, it just is what it is. And then like a couple weeks into it, we were like, yo, have you guys like had a solid bowel movement lately? And we're like, no. I was like, oh shoot, man. So I texted my sister, and she was like, if it persists for 2 more weeks, you can get it checked out, but it's probably just traveler's diarrhea. And it took care of itself. But like that obviously wasn't as bad as what you went through, but I don't know, that stuff doesn't faze me, like getting sick or like getting diarrhea. It doesn't really, I don't know, it's whatever. I mean, but you have to be safe, and like that's what Pedialyte's for, I guess.
What about those Life Straw things? That's what I have, but I don't really know anything about it.
I mean, it's like the same technology as the Sawyer filter, but the problem with the Life Straw is you can't like fill up your bottle with it. You just stick it in and drink. So like you could just fill your bottle up with water and then use it to drink out of, but if you're trying to like filter water, those aren't as useful. But yeah, and the Be Free is easier to maintain as well, so you need like the syringe that they give with the Sawyer to like back flush it, and then the way they designed the Be Free, it's the exact same hollow membrane filter on the inside, I'm pretty sure, but you just like shake it up, and then it'll knock stuff back off. And then one thing I do now, which is really useful, is like you do like 4 parts water, 1 part vinegar, and then let it sit for 15 minutes, and then shake it out and like do that, and then that works pretty well. For some reason, I don't understand this, but if you leave it sit for like an hour, it doesn't work. It's got to be like in that 15 minutes. So something with the chemical reaction or something, I don't know.
I know on like the Be Free package insert, they recommend putting in, I think they say like fill up the one, I have a 1 liter bag, but like fill up the bag with water, and then put in 4 drops of bleach and then like shake it up and like filter out. But I just like dump bleach. not I don't fill it up the whole way. I put in water. I dump in probably the equivalent of like 40 drops of bleach. I shake it up and it just squirt it through. I think it seems to work fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're supposed to put the bleach through when you're storing it or like when you're letting it sit for a week or two or a couple weeks, which is kind of what you do between backpacking trips. So you don't have like any funk grow on the inside. But I've never had that happen yet. I mean, I don't even like I just bring my water filter so Hershey can use it because he never brings his own.
What a baby.
So like the last trip I was like, Hershey's like, yo man, are you bringing your pee free? I was like, yes. And then he used it and I didn't even use it. I should have made him carry it, but
I love the dynamic of you and Hershey on our hiking trips. Like, I think it was the last time we were all together on what trail was it?
It was Appalachian.
Yeah. It was in a winter Appalachian overnight, and you were responsible for like getting the food for you guys, and he was complaining that
no, I wasn't. All right, let me explain this because I wasn't even responsible. He texted me like I think it was the Friday night before, and he goes, we had like I'm definitely down to like I'll just buy 2 of whatever I'm getting, that's fine. But he texted me like the night before like, yo, you getting food for us or nah? And I was like, oh my god, Hershey, yes, I'll get food for you. And then so I go to Walmart, I make sure I try to pick out stuff that he'll like, and then he has the nerve to be complaining about what I get. He's done that twice now. I told him on the last trip if he complains anymore about what I get, I'm not going shopping for him anymore. So I said it to his face, and now I'm saying it to the internet. Because he can't figure out how to, like, he's like, I just don't know what to get. And I'm like, you definitely do know what to get. It's not that hard. Like, we've done this a couple times now, but he's Hershey. Gotta love him. But it's always fun, like, when we go on a trip, because we'll just talk. We'll have, like, the same conversation about gear, like, over and over and over again all week. Like, yo, are you bringing this? What are you bringing? It's, like, the same for every trip, but as part of the ritual, I love it. And I think we had his brother on the group chat, and I think we overwhelmed him with we were like going back and forth about all the options we could bring. Cause he's like, yo, what should I bring? And then me and Hershey like go back and forth about all the different options. He's like, what? Just give me a list of what I need to take. We're getting there.
I think that what the Hershey brothers might have been our first 2 brothers on the podcast, or actually it might have been Taylor and Caleb, followed by John and Tyler. Yeah, I would be freaking out if the first time I went hiking I was like listening to you guys ramble off like 500 gear options to bring.
Yeah, I was like, we could bring my 20-degree quilt, and then I could rock the 40, and then you could take this jacket, but then we could also leave the jacket at home and then just go with the 20, and then we're just like going on, and like that definitely was like, what are you guys talking about? But then I just switched the conversation back to me and Hershey's, and I left it out of the group chat because we still had some stuff to figure out.
See, my conversations with Hershey when we're hiking is like him explaining to me like world political affairs and business affairs that like I would just otherwise would never understand. And it's like, oh yeah, this is like what's going on with like this international market. I'm like, okay, would not know that.
Yeah, that's how I get my updates on the world. My hikes with Hershey.
Yeah. He's a crazy cat. But alright, we've been rolling for a little bit now.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, before we like totally wrap it up, just to circle back one final time to the Kickstarter, if you stuck it with us rambling on about, you know, the adventures of Jacob Younger and Riggin It Gear this long, how can they support the Kickstarter, Riggin It Gear in general?
Yeah, so 2 things. One, if you have an Instagram, follow the Instagram account at Riggin It Gear, RIGGINGEAR, or ITGEAR, Riggin It without a G, gear. And then there's like the link me or whatever that has our Kickstarter and our website. But I try to post pictures of me sewing on there. You know, I'm getting better at becoming an influencer. So yeah, check that for content, and like I announced the podcast and stuff. That's the Rigcast on Spotify. If you're not on Instagram, you can still follow along. If you go to our website, r-i-g.co, you can sign up for our email list, and we'll start, we'll be sending out emails with updates and links to the podcast and stuff. And that's probably the best way to get to our Kickstarter. We'll have a link there. We'll have a link on our Instagram. So, before the May 14th, if you want to sign up for our email list so you know when it's coming, or just follow the Instagram account. But then, May 14th, our Kickstarter's launching. We're doing a fanny pack. It can be just a regular fanny pack with a webbing strap. We have a comfy waist belt. We have a chest rig, a fit fly fishing setup, and a dog walking setup. So you can check out all that. It's going to go live May 14th once again. And then we'll be in Trail Days that weekend too. And stay tuned for some adventures. I try to post as much content as I can. It's not high quality, but it is something. So check it out.
Well, if they're listening to this, I think they can.
Yeah,
they're rigging it.
I think as one final asterisk to add, I think it's worth acknowledging you for that. On your social media and on your podcast, it seems like you never really are promotional. You never really ask until, finally you have like one big thing emerging. There's so many things that I feel like I have followed and subsequently unfollowed on social media, where it's like every single post is like, please buy my stuff. And you're like, what do you even do? I think you do a really good job using your name the outlet, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's your podcast, to kind of tell a story, even if the story is just like here's the kind of person I am. Like, you see who's behind the company and so on. And I'm hopeful that you keep giving like actual like useful content or entertaining content. And now this one time when you're finally like, hey, we have this Kickstarter running, I'm hopeful that the true fans and followers that you have are like, okay, this person has like not been promotional to me at all this whole time, and now it's like he's asking for help to really get this Ground Roots company off the ground. I'm hopeful that people recognize that and jump on the Riggin It Gear train.
Now, do you still do like custom things for people, or are you kind of like a little overwhelmed with a bunch of?
Right now I'm not doing too much custom stuff. I think maybe this summer I'll get back on that. I know your buddy was interested in the hammock. But I'm pretty tied up with everything going on.
Sounds like you got a ton going on.
But I just wanted to say real quick, thank you for saying that about the account call. I definitely try to, if anything, just show people that you don't have to like have everything figured out to do something great and like chase a dream. Like, I'm just filming off my iPhone 7 and. I have a crappy little sewing machine I use and just kind of figuring stuff out. And I just want to show, like, I think a lot of times before I was overwhelmed by, like, people that seem to have it all together and have real polished profiles in these products that they're doing. And, like, I think that can be a barrier to entry. But I want to demonstrate that you don't have to, like, I know that I have a good product and all the other parts of the company I'm going to work on and make better. But you can just start pushing it out there. And then even like watching this podcast before I was on it, and then seeing how you guys have, just like the people you've had on, has definitely been super inspirational to me. I think Cole is somebody who like I definitely look up to with his work ethic and the stuff you're doing. But you're also like a really cool guy to chill with, and like I don't know, that's always been a thing for me. Like, not you don't have to be like a dickhead to be like motivated and accomplish things. You don't have to. You can still be a fun guy and still have a good personality and stuff. So that's a really good reminder and inspiration to me. So like I definitely really value this podcast and the opportunity you guys are giving me, and just like our group chat and stuff. That's really awesome. So yeah.
Thank you, dude.
I'll be on the
Riggin It Gear train till I die, dude.
Heck yeah. 25% of our followers, I think, are from Cole's Evangeline. So we're going to have to give them a cut of that Kickstarter when that check comes in. But only in gear, not no money. He's just going to get like 100 fanny packs comes on your doorstep.
I'll use them all.
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for coming on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you, everyone. All right, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in. Please track us down on social media. Our Facebook is Insights of All Trades. Our Instagram is at Insights of All Trades. Our Twitter is at IOAT Podcast. And you can find us on Gmail. It is insightsofalltrades@gmail.com. So please just send us in your insights. It would mean a lot to us and a lot to everyone else. Meaning, send in any tips or tricks you've learned through your trade or your passion that you think everyone would benefit from knowing. So until next time, adios.